Okay, so I finally found some glue, and I want you to use the bottled glue rather than a glue stick. When students have tried to use the glue stick, your pieces don't stick well enough. They end up peeling up. So it's really important that you use the Elmer's bottled glue. And what I like to do is I will take and just scooch off my squares off to each side of my draft template here. So that way I have room to glue. I'm working in a small space at home, so bear with me if you can't see some of this. Oops, lost a piece. Okay, so when you go to glue, I want you to start with the pieces that line up directly in the center of the project. So I'm going to put some glue on this piece, and I'm going to carefully press it right in line with my folds for my center line. So there's my first one. Then I take that wasn't quite lined up, then I take my second piece. Again, I put some glue on it. And the reason we're starting from the center is what it's going to do is force any unevenness and any gaps to the outside edge where then we can trim it off. So it's really, I can't stress this enough, it's really important to line it up right there with your fold lines and get it in the center. And if you need to, if you're finding things aren't quite lining up, it's okay when you start in on your next pieces to even have a little bit of overlap to make sure that you're not seeing any gaps. We don't want to see any of this ugly brown color showing through all of our pretty paintings. Here's the first layer. Then I can come back in and glue down the next layer. I press it right up to that other edge. And if you find it easier to work one square at a time, maybe I continue on with this square instead of going around the center. I'm trying to make sure that I leave a little bit of a gap on either side of my glue so that way it doesn't squirt out the sides. I make sure to line it up. I can even overlap it a little bit if I need to with my last piece, and I press that in. Then I go ahead and do my last two pieces of that square. Now and you'll notice I do have some gaps right along the edge here. I'm going to trim that off once I'm all finished gluing down my pieces. So I would let this dry before you start your trimming, but what you can do when you're ready to trim is line up your ruler nice and even with the edge. Find the edge of your design, the furthest edge, so this red one here is my shortest, and then I can draw a pencil line right where I need to trim, and then I can take my scissors and cut right on that line. If you ask very nicely, the teacher might even trim this for you on the paper cutter, depending on if she's helping other students or not. But you can also do this just with some scissors. And yep, I'm running into some wet spots from the glue that just want to tear, so I've got to be careful right there. So I trim that off, then I can repeat the same thing on this side. And I trim it. So now I'm ready to mat my artwork, which will be shown in the last video.